Welcome to our summary of Antifragile by Nassim Taleb. In this book, Nassim Taleb warns against the dangers of trying to fix things without fully understanding them. He criticizes the common practice of attempting to predict and control every outcome, especially in a world where big, unexpected events, what he calls black swans, can occur. Instead of trying to manage the uncontrollable, Taleb suggests that we should focus on building systems that are strong and flexible enough to handle surprises and challenges. By embracing unpredictability, we can create systems that not only survive, but actually thrive and grow stronger from stress and mistakes. Taleb's concept of antifragility helps us see the world in a new way. This idea is not just theoretical, it's deeply rooted in our everyday experiences and applies to many aspects of life. For instance, in nature, evolution depends on randomness and disorder to drive growth and adaptation. Organisms evolve in response to environmental stressors, showcasing the anti-fragile nature of biological systems. Similarly, the economy benefits from chaos. Market fluctuations, often viewed as threats, actually promote innovation and economic growth, demonstrating how unpredictability can be a force for good. Our bodies also exemplify antifragility. Just as muscles grow stronger with exercise, our physiological systems improve under stress. This response illustrates a broader principle. True resilience is about thriving, not merely enduring. Taleb argues that understanding and embracing antifragility is essential for living in a world full of uncertainty. This concept is practical and can guide our approach to risk management, decision-making, and personal development. It suggests that chaos can lead to growth and innovation. In the early chapters, Taleb emphasizes the importance of identifying and understanding antifragility. He points out that without a term for this concept, it's difficult to recognize and apply it. To clarify, he introduces the triad of the fragile, robust, and antifragile. The fragile, like the sword of Damocles, thrives only in stable conditions and collapses in chaos. The robust, symbolized by the phoenix, withstands adversity without changing. The antifragile, represented by the hydra, not only survives chaos but grows stronger because of it, illustrating the strength that comes from facing uncertainty. As the book delves deeper, Taleb discusses the idea of domain dependence. This concept highlights how we often fail to recognize familiar ideas in new contexts, which can prevent us from applying anti-fragility across different areas of our lives. Taleb encourages us to overcome these mental barriers to fully grasp and utilize the power of anti-fragility. In Antifragile, Taleb explains how systems can actually improve by overreacting to stress. He argues that by responding strongly to challenges, systems can innovate and adapt, making them more resilient. This demonstrates that directly confronting problems can lead to positive change. Taleb also distinguishes between natural systems, like living organisms and ecosystems, and man-made systems, such as machines and organizations. Natural systems are anti-fragile because they are complex and interconnected, allowing them to evolve and thrive in unpredictable environments. In contrast, man-made systems are often designed for specific purposes and are less adaptable, making them more prone to failure when faced with unexpected challenges. He points out that stress and randomness are crucial for growth and evolution. Taleb warns against the tendency to eliminate all volatility because doing so can prevent systems from developing and adapting. Overprotecting systems can make them more fragile in the long run. Taleb also highlights the importance of mistakes and risk takers in society. He believes that progress and innovation often come from trial and error. Societies that embrace failure are more likely to succeed overall. Risk takers learn from their mistakes and contribute to building collective knowledge and resilience. Even when their ventures fail, they provide valuable insights for future success. In the section Modernity and the Denial of Antifragility, Taleb criticizes the modern desire to control and eliminate randomness. He compares this to the Greek myth of Procrustes, who would stretch or cut travelers to fit his bed. This metaphor illustrates how modern society tries to force life into rigid, predictable patterns. Taleb warns that this approach creates fragility and makes us more vulnerable to significant unexpected disruptions. The more we try to stabilize systems, the more likely they are to break down completely. Taleb also introduces two types of randomness, mediocristan and extremistan. Mediocristan is predictable, with events usually close to the average and extreme occurrences rare and not too harmful, like the bell curve. Extremistan, however, is wildly unpredictable, where rare events, the black swans, can have huge, devastating impacts. These events have fat tails, meaning that while they don't happen often, their effects are enormous. He argues that by attempting to suppress natural fluctuations, we risk moving from the predictable world of mediocristan into the chaotic world of extremistan, where we become vulnerable to catastrophic events. This false sense of stability, created by trying to eliminate small problems, allows risks to build up quietly until they eventually lead to a crisis. Taleb contends that trying too hard to create stability is a major mistake. By removing the small stresses and changes that keep systems strong and adaptable, we make them weaker over time. Just as our bodies need exercise to stay fit, economic and other systems require some level of unpredictability to remain innovative and avoid larger problems. Attempting to create a perfectly stable environment is not only impossible, but also detrimental, as it undermines the natural resilience that helps systems survive and thrive. He also discusses the dangers of well-meaning interventions and introduces the concept of iatrogenics, which refers to harm caused by trying to help. Originally a medical term for treatments that do more harm than good, Taleb extends it to include economic and political actions that unintentionally increase fragility. He critiques the belief that complex systems can be controlled or predicted with precision, highlighting the limits of our knowledge and the inherent unpredictability of the world. Taleb advocates for a more cautious approach to decision-making and risk management, one that acknowledges our limitations and embraces uncertainty. This part of the discussion serves as a warning against overconfidence and the pursuit of artificial stability. Taleb emphasizes the need to accept the randomness and unpredictability of life and adjust our strategies accordingly. By valuing antifragility and understanding our cognitive limits, we can better navigate the complexities of today's world and create systems that are truly resilient to shocks and surprises. In a non-predictive view of the world, Taleb shifts from discussing the problems of prediction to offering practical strategies for thriving in an unpredictable world. He introduces Fat Tony, a character who relies on intuition and street smarts to make decisions. Fat Tony's ability to spot weaknesses in systems comes from practical experience and gut instincts, rather than complex models or theories. He contrasts sharply with the fragilista, a thinker who relies on flawed predictions and theories, often leading to poor outcomes due to overconfidence and the illusion of control. The contrast between Fat Tony's practical wisdom and the fragilista's theoretical errors underscores the limitations of relying solely on theory in a complex and unpredictable world. Taleb also revisits the teachings of Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, to show the importance of asymmetry in building antifragility. Seneca advised structuring life so that potential gains far outweigh potential losses, a strategy that maximizes benefits while minimizing risks. This way of dealing with uncertainty fits well with Taleb's idea of antifragility, which focuses on maximizing positive outcomes while protecting against negatives. To explain his ideas, Taleb talks about the barbell strategy. This strategy is like weightlifting equipment, where you balance two extremes, keeping safe on one end and taking risks on the other. By doing this, you can protect yourself from bad outcomes while still having the chance to gain big rewards. This strategy can be used in many areas, like finance and personal decisions, helping you benefit from uncertainty. Taleb also explores how to do well in unpredictable situations with the concept of optionality. Optionality means having the right, but not the obligation to act, letting you change or seize opportunities as things change without being stuck to one path. This flexibility is key for adapting and growing when unexpected things happen. He challenges traditional ideas about intelligence and expertise, saying that in a world full of uncertainty, the ability to adapt and learn from experience is more important than just having knowledge. Using optionality and trying different things, even if they fail, can lead to greater success. This approach values flexibility and the willingness to experiment and learn from mistakes. Taleb encourages us to stay open to new experiences and keep adapting in our complex world. In the nonlinear and the nonlinear section, Taleb talks about the complex dynamics of fragility and antifragility, focusing on nonlinearity and convexity effects. He shows that the relationship between the size of an event and its impact is not always straightforward. Small changes can sometimes cause huge effects, while big changes might have little impact. This unpredictable response is key to understanding fragility and antifragility. To explain these ideas, Taleb uses the metaphor of the philosopher's stone and its opposite. The philosopher's stone, in myths, could turn ordinary metals into gold. In Taleb's terms, it means finding and using hidden benefits from uncertainty and randomness. The opposite of the philosopher's stone helps us see and avoid the dangers of fragility. Knowing these metaphors helps us handle unpredictability, getting the most benefits while avoiding risks. Taleb also talks about how larger systems, because they are complex and interconnected, are more fragile and likely to fail from unexpected events. Smaller, decentralized systems, however, are more adaptable and resilient, handling disruptions better. This part of the discussion supports the idea of smallness and decentralization as ways to not just survive, but thrive in an uncertain world. Overall, this section gives a detailed look at nonlinearity and convexity in fragility and anti-fragility. Taleb offers tools to understand these dynamics better, helping us manage the complexities of modern life. He argues against relying on large centralized systems and instead supports smaller, flexible structures that can better deal with unpredictability. This approach moves away from trying to control everything and towards a more adaptable strategy that accepts the uncertainty of the world. In the section Via Negativa of Antifragile, Nassim Taleb talks about the power of subtraction to improve systems and decisions. He believes less is more. Taleb introduces Via Negativa, a way of improving things by taking away bad or unnecessary parts instead of adding new ones. He compares this to sculpture, where the art appears by removing excess material. This method makes systems stronger by getting rid of weaknesses. Taleb also explores this idea in decision-making, saying that simple solutions are often better than complex ones, especially when things are uncertain. He criticizes the modern focus on complexity and argues for simplicity and strength. In a world full of unknowns, simple methods are less likely to fail and more likely to be strong. He also talks about the Lindy effect, which suggests that the longer something non-perishable, like ideas or technologies, has existed, the longer it will likely continue to exist. This effect shows the value of old traditions and wisdom compared to many modern inventions that often don't last. Taleb goes deeper into the wisdom found in traditional practices and rules of thumb, developed over generations of trial and error. These old ways, though sometimes seen as irrational, often solve complex problems well, even without fully understanding why. Ignoring this wisdom can be a big mistake, as these practices often hold valuable insights. Finally, Taleb questions the focus on rationality in decision-making. He suggests that sometimes what seems irrational can be better than strictly logical approaches. In a complex and unpredictable world, sticking rigidly to rationality can hide opportunities and risks. Taleb promotes a balanced approach that values both intuition and experience, along with rational thinking. This way of thinking helps us deal with uncertainty more effectively. It encourages us to reassess our reliance on pure rationality and to use a broader approach to understanding and action. In the last part of Antifragile, called The Ethics of Fragility and Antifragility, Taleb talks about the moral side of his ideas. He introduces skin in the game, meaning that people need to have personal stakes in their actions to ensure they behave ethically and help keep systems strong. This means people and institutions must face the good and bad results of what they do. Without this, some people benefit while others suffer the costs, leading to moral hazard, where people take risky actions or behave unethically because they don't face the full consequences. Taleb explains the agency problem, where the interests of an agent, like a manager or politician, are different from those they represent, like shareholders or citizens. When agents are protected from bad outcomes, they might seek personal gains at others' expense, leading to reckless behavior that weakens the system and increases the risk of disasters. This problem is common in big companies and governments. Taleb suggests making sure decision-makers have skin in the game to reduce these risks. He also criticizes modern ethical failures, pointing to inverse heroes, people in power who profit from others' weaknesses without facing the negative results of their actions. This situation, where some exploit the system for personal gain and make others more fragile, leads to societal unfairness and greater overall fragility. Taleb calls for change, urging that those in power should be accountable and face the consequences of their decisions. This shift, he believes, would create a fairer and more stable society, where ethical behavior and responsibility are key. As the book ends, Taleb highlights the importance of honor, courage, and sacrifice in building a strong and resilient society. He praises true heroes who tackle challenges with dignity and are willing to put others' needs first. Taleb contrasts these virtues with modern habits that favor comfort and security over bravery and selflessness, suggesting that this change makes society weaker and less moral. His final message is a call to revive a more ethical and strong society, where accountability is central and risks and rewards are shared fairly, encouraging personal responsibility and ethical behavior to create a just and resilient world. In the last part of the book, Taleb talks about how we need to accept that life is unpredictable. He says trying to predict and control everything is not only pointless, but also harmful. Instead, he suggests we should aim to be antifragile. This means we should not only survive stress and mistakes, but also grow from them. This way, we can handle the modern world better and even thrive. Taleb warns against trying to fix things without fully understanding them. He criticizes the practice of trying to predict and control every outcome, especially in a world where big, unexpected events, called black swans, can happen. Instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, Taleb suggests building systems that are strong and flexible enough to handle surprises and challenges. He supports strategies like optionality and antifragile tinkering. These involve being flexible, keeping options open, and being ready to change plans as needed. This means learning from experience and improving through trial and error, where small risks can lead to big rewards without causing major problems. Taleb also emphasizes the importance of matching ethical practices with actions. He says people and institutions must face the consequences of their decisions. When decision-makers don't have to deal with the fallout from their actions, it leads to risky behavior and bigger problems. Taleb calls for a society where everyone is responsible for their actions, leading to more ethical governance and business practices. This message reminds us that personal responsibility and ethical behavior are crucial for building a strong, fair, and anti-fragile society. If you enjoyed this summary, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more insightful book summaries and practical advice. Stay tuned for more content that can help you achieve your financial goals and personal growth. Thanks for watching.